tree roof and barrel roof in Bird Island.
I think it was the old gymnasium over in Bird Island.
Yes, got the barrel roof. The
No,
old-
big one.
No, the old gym, the little gym.
I thought we were looking at the new gym too.
Mm-hmm.
We are live again.
Perfect. Is this anywhere here?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So you'll see the numbers there. He's very comfortable. We showed the roofs that we had in question, the ones that I mentioned there, including the big gym at Bird Island and the big gym here. He's very comfortable, and he said nothing wrong with his. They're all 60 mil EPDM. He thought they were in good shape. Their quotes would be to come and to refurbish and make any repairs to them that needed to refresh them, and he'd have no problem warranting them for 12 years. So the only roof we walked, one roof he declined, said he wouldn't do it, was the classroom roof over here on the 1956, but that wasn't on the list anyway, but he literally, we walked everywhere. So that kind of comes into play here from a financials perspective, and I'll get to that in a moment. Jumping back since we're live, as far as the demo, this was the plan, the sheets that you had last week or 2 weeks ago when we were here, the numbers you saw there. Remember I shared this plan, right, where we're taking down the entire east side. Got together with Island Hub after that meeting and looked at a new design, basically where we would keep the office area over there, the classrooms, restrooms, and the kitchen and cafeteria. So we would keep this section, not demo it. So what you see in the numbers today are revised numbers for demo here and a revised parking lot here. What we've got in the question one now, I'll show you that in a moment, is including the demo. It's got the HVAC to take care of everything over here, including the Green Island Hub spaces. Anything along this line, anything east, would be on Island Hub. I'll work with Mark on giving him new numbers for that, so he can pursue his funding avenues. But again, the the renovation of this would all be on Island Hub, and the creation of this new lobby would be on Island Hub. I do have a solution financial that I think I'd like to talk about, that if in the event, I obviously hope Mark's successful and his team in getting the state and federal money that they're going after. But if you get down the road in a year or two and it's just not in the cards, you don't have the money, we talked about not having the district, it would be about $100,000 to demo this piece and another $50K to reskin that facade. So about $150,000 liability, if you want to call it that, hang on there. But I think I've got a solution for you there on how the district could cover that in the event that happens, just the contingency plan. Okay. If you open the sheets I just handed out, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. It goes to page 505. Anything I changed to add from last time is in bright yellow to help you understand what changed. So you see the page 505, there's 2 lines in bright yellow.
Yep.
Okay. The basic, that's the demo of the east 3-story section. Oh, I'm sorry, that's old, I'm sorry. It shouldn't say, cafeteria, it should just be the 3-story section and the east 56. We're keeping the kitchen cafeteria, I'm sorry, that's the remnants of the previous document. But what I really want to point out there, the numbers have changed slightly, the total project budget has changed slightly from before to after. And then I moved it to question 1, the far left column. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I know we're trying really hard to keep this question 1, the $30 million, 30s. We want to stay below $40 million to give this thing a chance to pass. We need to test that. So, and how to add all that cost and how to keep question 1 below 40 million. So what I did is, if you go to page 3 of 5. The bright yellow line there, and it says ADITA, Consolidated Municipal High School Breakout Area, and not build new business classroom. So I was looking at where we could possibly cut some scope. So this is the drawing that your sheets were based on last time we were in front of you. And what I'm suggesting here is, if you want to keep it below 40 million, which I highly recommend, is give elementary wing their breakout space, give your, 5, 6, 7, 8 high school their breakout spaces they can share, not create this breakout space. That's a nice classroom. Leave the classroom so we gain a classroom back. And that means I don't have to build this brand new classroom here, right? So business could be located in one of these rooms. Business could go up here where health is, and health come down here. We can find a home for business. I'm just saying, if we eliminate one breakout space, we gain a classroom. Therefore, I don't have to build a brand new space. So we save the construction of this. So the design, your kitchen and receiving, everything would shrink in a little bit. We just build less. And then we wouldn't have to touch this room.
So would you put out the other sixth grade class?
Yep,
over there?
exactly. I'd put sixth grade right there, you bet. And Brett works to keep, kind of 7, 8 graders down in this wing. So it's kind of set up to be early childhood and elementary, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then high school is correctional.
I have a question as long as we got it up. Have you in the hallway right there, should we put a door there separating the high school from the younger kids? Just so they don't come over and use that toilet
Oh, right here.
right there? Do you do that in other schools? Is that should be done?
You have,
To deter them, because.
right, I would have to look at the fairness of this. Because you get so far, I think we could do that, could be locked.
Right.
And I gotta look at the hardware, it doesn't have to be panic hardware both directions, The quick answer is, yes, it's worth looking at, and fire code is what always causes problems for things like that, so let me jot that down, Russ, and we'll dig into that.
I just think it would be something to deter the high school kids from walking in there again.
Yeah, and as you recall, the whole intent of these restrooms is to make sure that they never go this
Right.
way.
But if it's a wide open hall.
Yep, no, that's a fair question. So that deduct, I got checked in of about $500,000, if I remember right, 501. That's what helps keep us below 40 million, right? And then the only other changes in yellow you'll see would be this. So go to page 2, 5. So the yellow there is the first, the 1A, that was to the Fortis Roofing would be to do this gym. It's kind of a section right through here, about right through here. This gym was in that one. The one in yellow is, I asked Fortis to say, would you warranty this whole section down here? What the board originally made capital allocations for, like $600,000 between here and the other Bird Island. So I'm just saying, he said, absolutely. He thought you were there. He thought this was a good shape. It just needs to be some. There's a lot of life left in that roof. So I haven't give you a number to give you a 12-year warranty on that. So instead of spending, whatever, $600,000, you're spending $100,000. So.
On that topic, Danny, what were your thoughts on his proposal?
I mean, the guy seemed to know what he was talking about. I mean, there's just minor repairs like we had talked about doing to the 99 edition. That would give us 5, 6, 7 years, probably. It's 60 ply roof. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay.
We do have when the upper level, the higher gym roof meets the lower classroom roof. The precast up there has got a joint sealant between the precast planks. That's drying out. We do have that in the plan already. They tear that out, put backer rod in there and replace it. That comes all the way down to that flashing, and that's where you guys have the leak. So it's a two-pronged thing. It's fixing that and then fixing the rubber issues. But
And both of that is in here.
so I did that on that page, and then you go to page 4 or 5. I did the same thing for Bird Island. So instead of the board spending money on redoing this gym, and I call it the gully, because the barrel roof kind of ends about right here, and then you got this little sliver through here. Instead of replacing that, they give us a warranty, price for a warranty on that, $30,000.
Has the school not pursued a contract with those roofing projects at this point? Okay,
Not yet, no.
okay,
I don't think we ever came to determination on what roofing systems we really liked.
okay,
Right.
And that's kind of where it was laying. So as far as him warranting the built up roof
Yep.
system versus rubber, that's
Doesn't matter
okay.
if they do it all. The roofs we did look at were all rubber.
Okay.
The ones on design items. You got some of them, but they're in great shape. I think it's still under original warranty, so you don't need an extended warranty yet.
And-
I have a question. So on that 30,000 for the small gym, is that, being it's the barrel roof, that 30,000 just covers that one little area? That's not the whole thing?
It's the whole thing.
Okay, this is where I have my question. Do you remember when we visited with Garland? Did I not misunderstand him? I thought he said with the barrel roof, other than that one section that's hooked onto the 3-story, barrel roof, you never would really have to touch those because there's not going to be any water problem with that. I kind of thought like Greg, that we were looking at the big gym, that he was worried about that, just people walking up there, that would puncture it, that was the one we were looking
That's
at.
what I thought. We were looking at the big gym and the barrel roof was fine, except. for the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yep.
So
So I'm
the big gym is
confused.
one line item above it. Doing the big gym.
so
For
ultimately,
the warranty.
everything is
He'd be
covered.
doing some work on the big gym as well.
Yep.
So the 30,000 includes the work on the big gym and the small gym.
No,
So that would be-
No,
No.
Julie.
The line above
there's a
it.
51,
right above that.
Right.
Oh,
You're in the
51
wrong.
is- got it.
51 for the
Okay.
big gym, 30 for the small gym.
And so that will warranty that whole big gym roof for
Fine.
12 years.
We moved to Bird Island.
So this whole section and this whole
Alright.
section, this was 50 and this
Got
was
it.
30. For 12 years.
Sorry. I forgot.
So what do you think about that? I mean, I'm not a roof specialist, but I'm just asking with the dialogue we had with Garland, do you think that 30,000, that we want to do that barrel roof?
So this
Just curious.
51,000 and 30,000, that includes doing some,
Yep,
It
that's it.
seems really cheap.
They come up, fix everything needs fixed. That covers anytime you have a leak. They'll come up, fix it. It's
I guess
it's
I
like
would
extended
like-
warranty on your car.
I'd like to read their warranty plan and see what.
Yep, that's fair.
Where do they come from? Like, is it like they can get here fairly quick? I'm just
But
curious
they-
because,
that's interesting
Yeah.
to ask, 'cause they work with national roofing companies, but we said, whenever we were getting items, we were concerned, like, well, how quick are they to respond? Right?
Mhm.
I mean, they back on the cities, right? And he said, well, we're willing to work with a local broker, so you gave them, Denny gave me Granite City roofing that you used. We're contacting
interesting.
Granite City, that Granite City to be their service arm,
interesting.
so.
That's
I-
weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you've recommended or suggested in the past to get Al out here and his crew to make these same repairs. So why don't I get you the warranty in from, how it actually reads and confirm that Granite City signed on?
Yeah.
And I think that would help you make a decision.
Well, and is this something, we've got the money set aside for the, what, $400,000?
I think it was like 6, I can't remember. But where that comes into play, you can use some of that to pay for this, it's a whole lot less than good plan.
Yeah.
And if you remember, we had that cash flow, remember the spreadsheet with all the different funding sources and we were going down the road. We had about 1.38 of capital projects checked in. And I figured between your ESSER money and the savings of that 450 versus what we're recommending now on roofing, you could pay cash for those items. So again, it all feeds into how to keep this referendum passable.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering that the gym leaked last winter, the big gym.
Mhm.
It's gonna leak again next winter. We know that. Should we get moving on that with this company right this summer yet?
I think you'd have time, then we get you the warranty information, then we get the Granite City confirmation. Yes, there'd be time before this, it's only many best we can get it fixed before. And I'll probably move both, then if that's the case, I'll probably move, and you're right, Chris, you guys can debate the old small gym, barrel road if you want, because that does have more slope, to your point. So,
And maybe it'd be nice to have that, whatever we're gonna demo before things happen and.
well, yeah, exactly.
For that area.
Yeah, demo this, let's see what falls on that roof. right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is one brick and one.
So it's good you guys didn't move ahead with that.
That's why you have insurance.
Say again?
I said it's good that you didn't move ahead with the
The other
contract.
thing,
Yeah.
that little gully that we call it.
I knew something like
better
this.
term, if we do, sorry, that's a little better. If we do demoed along here, we can completely, change how that drains, and we're gonna kick that east area of that water.
Slope
Get it
right
out of there. Yeah.
Huge difference.
That would take care of that little problematic area.
Good. I think that's a good option. So yeah, we'll get warranty information. You can email that out and we can look at that. Good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Have you worked with this company on other projects?
Their news was they
Okay.
came out, I gotta explain this, they came out of the commercial real estate market, or, you know, the Brookfields of the world and,
Yep.
Christian Wakefield uses them. They're new as K-12. We do have a client down by La Crosse, Holman Schools, that just signed on with them. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
for having
I have
options.
one more thing, and I contacted Ellie on this, on possibly, that's on the other page, but combining the fitness and the
Oh, yeah.
wrestling and the,
so,
to maybe save some money and,
well, yeah, and to explain what, just to help you guys visualize what that is, I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. So, fitness, think of Lifeline, think of it, this is a weight room plus cardio equipment, right?
Yeah.
So you could be, and so a lot of open floor space. This is a wrestling room, two wrestling mats.
Yeah.
Can't really have exercise equipment.
well, I'm not saying you would put it in the wrestling room, but I would say you connect it to the end, and when wrestling's over with, we could open that wall
Oh,
and have
I
a
see
bigger
what you're saying.
area for other, you know, because it's a multi-purpose room. We could
Mhm.
open that and have, I don't know what they could have, jazzercise or something.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. I
I'm not saying putting the fitness stuff in
gotcha,
that
I
wrestling.
misunderstood, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm saying moving that
I was
fitness
kind of
room
on your
up
page.
there
It's like,
into that area.
Yes, I mean, again, that's probably more in the design phase. It's more, I want to make sure I've got the dollar square footage in there. The reason this was put here was if you ever wanted the community to have access during the day, you could sort of cordon it off and it could be accessible, right? And I wanted to give a second entrance, a south entrance into this gym. It doesn't have to be.
I
It
think
could
too,
go-
the proximity to the locker rooms.
Yes.
It's nice.
It's nice, too.
It kind of fit there. But during the design phase, if we take that same square footage and move it here or wherever, maybe it goes here, we can do that. It's just-
Because we're not sure if the locker room's even gonna happen.
Right, this
Right.
right now, let me just remind everybody, the way it's currently checked in, it's
Right.
your project, do what you want. I have the locker room as question 2 right now.
Mhm.
I think what we should focus on is probably figuring out what question 1 is and test that, and then we can focus on question 2. So right now, the only thing in question 2 is since we moved the demo locker room and here. Right now, the Bird Island main gym toilets are just a refurbishment at their current size. I showed you an option, question 2 option to basically double the size. Take these two and combine them into a
Mhm.
women's and make a larger men's one over here. So,
Is the concession stand bigger there too, or is that the,
no, that's.
What-
yeah,
what it would be
that's
still?
Where it currently is in the current size.
Okay.
configuration. We really worked hard to control the scope on this plan here. I mean, it was, as I said before, bleachers, floor, new bleachers, new gym floor. You've already got the lights in here, new lighting system here, new curtains, sound is in good shape. We-epoxy the stage floor and done there. We rehab these as they stand, create 2 new lockers, and then ventilation and new floor here, and then really nothing in here except for.
question for you then? So on that, go back to the first one, the Olivia campus, please. And up where that new locker room is, what's the price of that locker room next to the wrestling? Just curious. What's the price of
It's a line
that?
item.
Yeah.
It's, on page 3, third one down, 623,000.
Nice work.
Page- Okay, so question for you. If for some reason, on question 2, even if they want to keep the wrestling multi-purpose, but let's say the locker room, they say no to that because the other ones are being refurbished, and that whole multi-purpose gets slid to the left, could we take some of the monies? We don't have to take all of it. Well, I don't know what it would cost, but could we take some of the monies from that and utilize that for the arts auditorium that so far that we're going to probably use for the time being. In the Bird Island School, you said that you did the new lighting. Could we do like more acoustics? So the sound system, acoustics are a little more higher end for the music and arts in there?
Yeah, because I would agree. You said the sound system's fine.
I can't,
Yeah.
as soon as I said that, I gotta look at my notes. I had that backwards. Either the lighting was fine and the sound needed replaced or vice versa, and I gotta look at my notes.
Can I pitch a random idea? Why, and I'm not theater, so I don't mean to offend anybody, but I look at the Olivia gym with the theater type seating and that we're gonna invest in the top part, sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Balcony or whatever.
Yeah, thanks. Would it make, and again, I'm sure there's reasons why, but would it make sense to have theater there and use Bird Island more as the competitive?
I think
Jim?
what happens is that that area doesn't get used for so long because they're set up in there.
Oh,
And
okay.
it-
I just was like, the seating actually looks at the stage. The acoustics
Yeah,
seem to be
it's
a
a good
little
idea.
bit better,
So,
but
this guy throws something else out there, I might want to consider. They do make, so we're replacing these bleachers anyway, right?
yeah.
What if you had, I don't know, call it first third or half on each side, motorized, that you could swing around
That's
Oh,
pretty
that's cool.
cool.
and face
What's
the
that
stage?
cost?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Mhm.
It's free. It's free, Jackie.
Friends of the theater.
Yes.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, manual.
Well, that was my whole thing. I'm like, we're doing all this,
I mean,
but if
maybe
we
one thing,
can't,
but
see
as I
them.
say, probably these ones actually.
Yeah.
swing.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
I love that.
That's
I
a
do
really
too.
cool
that's
idea.
cool.
Mhm.
We'll, we can get a price on that.
'Cause that would,
Rest of my scrap.
that would really enhance that.
I think so too.
And
And it
yeah,
gives the
I feel
music
bad
and
that
arts a
we
little
sit
more.
with the balcony
oomph.
that faces the
Rest we-
stage, and then we
Rest
get to Bird Island and we don't face the stage.
Mhm. They put chairs up, but
Yeah, it's not
But
tier.
that would be
Structure.
nice.
Another thing I
Yeah.
think we should include in question one is our drainage issue out here.
That's in there.
I
Okay,
thought that was in two.
No.
Okay,
that's good.
enough, I'm good.
Nothing's more obvious recently.
well, I have
Yeah.
to say, I saw a lot of kids playing in there
Oh, I'm
after
sure
school,
they
and they like
Oh,
that.
I'm sure their parents love that.
I got a great picture.
Two of them were my grandkids.
Looking down at their-
With their
little
school tennis
kids in
shoes
my
on.
water boots having the time of their life.
That's why I said they were
Okay.
with their
Little
tennis
boy,
shoes.
little girl? I see
Yeah.
little boy, girl, but yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was
can you
funny.
show me where
Yeah,
for
that-
question one?
Yep.
I looked at it today and I circled it. Page two,
It's on page 205. It's in the exterior divert maintenance.
Yeah.
It's under 6.1B. It's under alt funding.
alternate, okay.
Yeah, this is the one that Jim was trying to, we're use ESSER money for.
Mhm.
And if we don't get ESSER money for it, then what's,
We've already got this.
But we got
Yep,
Yeah.
it's there.
good?
Sweet, send it.
Oh, and then this is one question I had on there too, of 2 of 5. Under the drainage for the playground, the elementary playground, it says elementary playground drainage improvements, blah, 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 blah. But right above it, there's elementary playground drainage improvements. Is that the same area or is that 2 different spots?
It's the same area, it's just 2 different versions. The first one is not checked, there's no X's in it.
Oh, gotcha.
That was just to do the drainage,
Oh, all right.
nothing else. Then the second one was to build a basketball court, hard surface play area out here.
All right. I see.
Take all
Yep,
this-
I see the X.
And then the real expensive thing is the poured rubber fall protection under that. That's what it really adds to.
Mhm.
I had
What?
spoken with a local drainage expert, and it sounded like it'd be a lot less than $300,000.
Everyone's an expert until they have to do it, give a quote, but I hope he bids on it.
Well,
Not to be, not to be
Ooh.
facetious, but I want him to bid.
So, probably getting close to a conflict of interest now. but-
Yeah, no,
You can check.
And we won't be doing this, like the exit in the parking lot, that's not part of
Say that again.
the exit in the parking lot, we talked,
Second exit.
yeah,
Because
because we were gonna check to see if we can kick out. Did we talk about that kicking out on the other
yeah,
street?
I have to follow up with that. So what's new? Right now, under OP funding, they got checked in, expanding the parking lot, and we're recommending not doing that. right
Correct.
Mhm.
And that would be, you can use tax abatement funding 2, 3 years, whatever you
Yep.
want down the road. But I think you're right. I think you did ask, is there enough room to get a second entrance?
Yeah, just to clean up
Yeah,
the traffic
that's-
pattern.
I
We looked at that.
guess you did ask that, I failed. because that's-
It's okay. I just,
Because you could go, just have another exit just straight down from the shed. and-
yeah, anywhere, like, it'd just be nice to have enter, exit.
That's another thing
And not
too
rushing
that
blood.
you guys can consider is the shed.
I don't think we should move it. I think we should leave it right where
I
it is.
agree.
Okay,
I agree with that.
So if the shed stays there, then that parking lot, it's not much, maybe 100 feet of pavement. That could be the exit right on the north side of the shed. It would go straight east to the road. There's room in there between the big transformer.
Yep.
And then close off the other little bit of parking lot. You'd have a pretty nice flow down through there.
yeah, I kind of wanted to see where you were falling with moving that shed.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's Xed in right now, I believe, right? So that
It is.
would cost out.
Well, and if we moved that locker room, like Greg was suggesting,
The fitness room, you mean?
there's a fitness room rather, yeah. That sort of eliminates that need to change the parking lot and move that shed, wouldn't it? Isn't the whole reason for moving the shed?
This is still meant to be your main front door now.
Yep.
Because you're getting this is where your secured entry sequence in here and out.
Right.
If you go into these offices, you're all right here. So it's still your front door.
Yeah, no, I get that,
But it
but
does help, it does help.
if that fitness wasn't there, we wouldn't be really adding much onto that. Maybe a little bit on the side.
Correct. I still have heard a lot of people say they have a self-interest in the gym is a big deal.
Yep, oh, I agree, but I think we could do that without,
I also think
This,
if,
this can go up here, yes.
don't cut yourself short of hiding your fitness center where you can't get exterior entrance. Cause you don't want kids running through your whole building to get in and out of there. So I would strongly urge you to keep that somewhere it's very easy to park.
Your entrance
walk
for
in,
your pool is still back
Yeah, you
there.
can still use, this.
Yep,
Could
but
we
they're
start?
not, think of the kids at 5:30 in the morning, they're gonna park in the street, now they come through the locker
Well,
room.
that's why I was wondering if we could have an entrance towards the parking lot.
Like on the south
It's
side.
right there.
Mhm.
because that's all parking right
Yeah,
there.
There's a lot of entrance.
Oh, that way,
Yeah.
Mhm.
not with you.
So the
Yep.
fitness room is gonna be where the weight room is? Where
That's
it's
the
gonna be a
weight room, they're
for
calling
the
it
kids?
fitness, it's the weight room.
Weight room for the kids.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Multi-purpose.
it's however you want to use it. It's a weight room for athletics, it's a fitness room for phy ed units, it's
Mhm.
a fitness center for your community.
Mhm.
You can label it however you.
So the main entry, all the kids every day for school would all come through that door? Is that how that works or not?
Kid, no, it's still, when students, when buses arrive, you can use any entrance at your disposal. I would still,
That is-
to be determined, I still have buses on the west side here. I have staff and drivers on this side coming in. But when the bell rings, everything locks, and then this is the only one we use. And so we want to get that monument sign up here and get it over there. We actually want to change your address because if you go in, like first time I came here, it takes you over here. That's
Mhm.
not where the front door is.
Mhm.
But we do want to give you, from a wayfinding standpoint, a front door, a single front door.
So extracurricular events, so a basketball game, would that be the only entrance? That'd be the main entrance then that would be used?
Yeah, I'd have the main entrance here for sports. I mean, it's up to you from a sports perspective, because we could add, you might still want to use this, and right now everyone comes to the north side of the gym, right, ticketing.
Mhm.
Maybe you want to have one there, and you have cycle booths, people come in here and come this way, or have a second.
Well, just,
I guess have two entrances to the gym, not be a bottleneck.
could you move, if we move the fitness, move that high school office down and move your front entrance up? And then that would be the front
Oh, I
entrance.
see.
And,
Oh, flip these?
Yeah,
well, just move it down.
Yeah, but basically, you're saying, take the high school office here, and take the entry here, put it here.
Yep.
And then you'd have the entry for the gym. and
Absolutely.
It's just an idea.
Personally,
These are all-
anytime, I think
Sorry,
you
these are
have
all great ideas. This is-
one entrance for everything, if it's large enough, it's just a much nicer flow. So
The
if you can get
the
people
fewer
in.
doors to the outside in general, the better.
Yep, and security wise, you're not trying to monitor who's coming or going, pushing them through one entrance is really nice.
Yeah, no, these are all great ideas, and
So
this is a fun design.
I have a question. I sometimes have activities during the day, during the school day. So now, am I not allowed to have activities in the school day if the multi-purpose and those locker rooms are there? If they're using them for gym classes and stuff?
As far
I don't know
as,
why not, if you're in the pool area, right?
Well, yeah, but you also have students in the multi-purpose wrestling room. possibly during the school day.
So can you just coordinate it with the school?
Yeah, I was just asking. I mean, right now, I lock the doors so that if I have an activity during the day, they don't have access to the school. I keep myself separate,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Well, I think we would want to maintain a locking door. I don't want kids being able to get to the locker room.
Sometimes if it's a rainy day, they go to the wrestling room and they
For
do an
recess.
inside activity, which
Right.
means my people might cross paths with
I see
students.
what you're saying.
And I try to avoid that so that I don't have to monitor the adults going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my only question is how I can, if I can,
Well,
or,
if-
or.
Well, I don't think you want to stop that because that stops activity in the pool.
Well, and it doesn't happen very often, but I do.
If the locker room is not there, isn't passed, this would slide down.
Mm-hmm.
You could have it so you could enter the mother groups room, have a set of doors here.
Yeah.
And they not get
That
into
sounds
the pool area.
Sure.
Now bringing fitness up there, that's a whole nother.
Well, that's.
But if you do that side entrance, that
I
could,
don't know, if you're using the fitness center for a fight.
yeah, that's true.
And people who are gonna use the fitness center for a private entrance are juniors and seniors in school, but they might use the multi-purpose wrestling room for fourth graders
Mhm.
because it's a rainy day or they're doing tumbling or whatever the case may be.
It-
I'm not concerned about a 17-year-old crossing a path with a 30-year-old. I'm more concerned about the 10-year-old who's crossing the path with the 30-year-old. And that's only because I want to make certain that, that I don't want you to change anything. I just want to put that question out
The
there.
nice thing is the 10-year-old's always got an adult in within the class, right? Down there, once they're in the morning.
Every once in a while, we have students in the area
On the list.
yeah.
But if we were gonna do the extra visitor locker room, maybe those could even flip.
For sure.
And then they could have a side entrance to that.
Yeah, there's no magic to this. This can be flipped on, absolutely.
I'm not saying you can't do what you're doing. I just want to pose that question. It's not very often that I have daytime activities with adults, but it does happen, so.
I think there's something we want to pay particular attention to during the design phase.
And I know we're getting into more design phase stuff with questions, so if kids aren't riding the bus, someone's dropping their second or third grader off. Do they have an access just to go into their wing? I mean,
Yeah, it depends how you want, this is after school day is done?
no,
In
the parents driving their kids to school in the morning,
Right,
you know,
and so that's what we can set up, we can set up buses and, keep the loop if you want, you have the buses in the loop and have parents drop off. You can either enter here, you can enter here. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 entrances on that.
so they
bus
can
side.
enter, will those areas be, again, I realize this is down the road, but designated that like only K through fourth graders enter here? Is it managed that way or not?
We can
Right now,
that
it's
way.
all the main door. We really discourage people from coming to that side door. That's open in the morning for the kids coming in from buses.
Okay.
But if somebody's just dropping a kid off, we want them coming through that front door. It's the best way we can manage who's coming into the building.
And you usually have staff there in the morning too, right?
And we try to have staff there, yeah.
So I guess it's more of a administrative procedural thing. You'll have plenty of entrances. We can sign up however you want. It's more of just training the
Management, okay, got it. Okay.
But these are all questions that people ask.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Good questions.
I have, to get away from our meeting, we can do it after the meeting, but I really would like to walk down and look at that area, exactly what you're looking at taking down. And whether we, if you're gonna do that afterwards, if you're at the meeting.
Yeah, just, I know not everyone's joining us in the tour, but just to remind everybody, what we're talking about taking down now is only that 1922 section, so 101-year-old section. That's what basically starts at the north side of your existing kitchen. Knocking it down, comes to here. We keep your little tech room, 'cause that's been refurbished, come here. This is a stairwell down into here, kind of come here, take this down, take it down to here. We want to keep the stairwell and the elevator, right? And the stair up, so storage elevator, stairwell. So this will get demoed then right through here. So it's kind of a odd, squatty little
It's kind
shape.
of within the grades, right?
Yeah, they do that wrong because they got strings there.
So you're keeping the existing wrestling room downstairs? No.
What about the boiler
So
room?
where's
Is
the
that,
elevator?
I was gonna ask this last time, is that still down?
Yep, the boiler room will stay, the big boiler comes out of there,
Yeah.
right? Antiquated equipment comes out of there. The electrical vault room goes away to the, whatever they want to call it. We need to switch, we need an electrical service entrance anyway, we're gonna come off the street here. We're gonna run mains here, we'll basically have there's gonna be a crawl space, there's a big, it's almost like a tunnel going from here to there now, that'll be maintained, we'll have a big, considered like a big, it's almost like a big junction box, where the new feeders will run, but the short answer is yes, the boiler plant will stay where it is. That big stack, you see the big round stack will come down, no need for that anymore, things are, I think it's, we don't need that big stack anymore, do we?
That'll get rid of some roofing issues as well, then, won't it?
Well, and tuck pointing and, maintain that, turn out.
And what is the reason, I mean, to take all that area down? Is it, like,
No, good question.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of needs from exterior, what's it doing? A lot of building envelope stuff we can go look at, and I can show you from exterior, facade standpoint, windows, all that. It's not laid out to be ADA accessible spaces. You'd basically be gutting a lot of it and spending a lot of money refurbishing. And you're kind of, this is sunken down in the ground. And it doesn't, by not spending money on that and spending a little bit more to replace it, it allows you to fix a lot of your organization that you're building. It allows us to get one large cafeteria commons. Right now, if you're building a school now and you're 600, just use the math, 600 students, you kind of figure 3 lunch periods a day, that's 200 students. Lunch period, figure 15 square foot a student. Your cafeteria is half the size as what it should be. This allows us to fix that, right? Your kitchen is half the size it should be, and this allows us to fix that. Gives us a place to put receiving, bringing into electrical service entrance, and allows us. And then what that does is then by creating those there, it frees up that existing cafeteria. It's a nice high big space that we can use for music room. Right now, elementary music is down here in the high school shop area. It just allows us to reorganize it in a better way. The nice thing about this commons too is that the proximity to the gym, so you can use it as to support athletic events and things of that nature. So.
most of the wiring and such from the 20s in that area yet, like original, or is that all been?
Plumbing's original, wiring's original, everything's almost original. And you'll see when we get down there, it's just a lot of wasted space. You got like old exits to nowhere, right?
Exit to go up the
Yeah,
upper
that's
floors.
usually the second, third floor, and it's no longer there.
So we do not need to add another elevator, we're keeping what we have now?
Yep, keep what you have now.
Oh, because it goes up, right? You're not, I was wondering where the elevator was going, but we're still going up.
Yep.
We just won't be going
So
down.
going up, so this is the second floor, it sits
Oh,
right up here.
Oh, it goes down.
Yeah, it goes down to the wrestling room. Like, well, if you're getting rid of that, where's the elevator?
Yeah,
going? But
so
right above.
this section here, for everybody's understands, to help orientate you, this choir space sits right here. This science spaces sits right over here, top of this, so we're keeping that.
Okay, thank you.
That's all refurbished area.
Yes, yeah, these areas will be refurbished.
Maybe a silly question too, but like hallways are wide enough now that you're moving wrestling down there to move mats to the gym, like everything's wide.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and Matt's,
There's
most places
go
usually
through the
have-
pool.
True.
Most places have, this would be sized for
Out and around.
two mats, two full-size mats, 40 by 40.
They just,
And those would be practice mats
yes.
for meet, if you're gonna have a meet here, I'd have meat mats you that you bring into the gym.
We do. We could have them hanging and not have to move them. But friends of wrestling. I just would, I mean, because right now they come up the elevator and they go down the hall, so it's
They
just
have no
narrow.
place to store their competition
No,
mats.
no, they're sitting down in the wrestling room, standing up in front. So you have to go around them.
Yeah, it'd be better if we could get storage in this situation here. That maybe if we take this whole thing and slide it down, we could probably get
Yeah.
that storage here and you come right out and in.
Because it's, from a safety perspective, it'd be nice to have them
And it'd be
in
nice, you
storage.
got, it'd be nice to get another double door right in this corner.
Or anything coming and going out of a gym.
Well, that's one of the things, enlarging of Norway is, that's the one thing band asks for, is to get like the percussion instruments out of the band to
Yeah.
a stage or that
Yep.
band, or it's just a little maze or straighten that out. for them.
Anybody have any other questions on that at this time?
So is it possible at our next get together to show the different configuration of
Of this,
of that in the office, maybe changing that?
sure, I can, yes, we can show this with or without the locker room. We can flip flop entrances. What do you want me to do? How do you want to see fitness? You just want to see options?
Yes, so that's where we're at right now, aren't we?
Personally, I like where it is, just with the exterior, but that's just
I
me.
just think it
And just
cuts
to-
off our parking lot too much.
Right, I'd like to see it up there too, just as an option, just to see what it looks like.
We got to look at utilities up there.
Yeah.
easements, and How close is the parking lot?
Yeah.
We can definitely look at moving it as an option.
So my point is, we'll look at it, if you do that, is there any unforeseen ancillary costs? Otherwise, that's kind of a decision during the design phase where you ultimately want it. But if you wanted a certain configuration, like I was communicating to the public, you think the public will like this configuration better, let's show the most appealing configuration.
Minor.
I have a few questions going back to our original contract. If we're successful in the referendum, we go out for quotes or bids. Was it the goal to get 3 bids on each trade? Is that, that's at least 3?
Yeah, I mean, what we do is, just for clarity, anything special, this is in Minnesota by state law, anything over 175,000, we have to go through a formal bidding process. We would use virtually that same process for the entire project. And so we'll be developing plans and specs, you know, they're very, very detailed. And breaking the project down to, you know, there's 20 different variables, yeah. And then you'd be going through literally a formal bid process where we'll be advertising, any qualified contractor can bid on that work scope. The bids would all be brought in here, open publicly. We would then vet them out to make sure that they've met all the requirements and awards the lowest responsible bidder. And our goal is to always get multiple bids, minimum 3. You know, sometimes you end up with, depending on market conditions, sometimes you end up with 2, sometimes you end up with 6 or 7. But part of what we do is we go out and basically market the project to potential contractors so they understand why it's something that they might be interested in.
And we'll work with local contractors to know what, how to arrange the work scopes that sort of fit their expertise. That makes
The
sense?
sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, the more bidders, the better, we believe. But it's just been a weird 2 years with inflation and the market and just less contractors. Sometimes you get great big covers, sometimes you get 2 guys. It's like,
But also, and again, we don't have anything to anyone, but from a political or community relations perspective, if there's local contractors, as Brent was saying, we can design a work scope that's designed to hit their sweet spot. And we can't legally hand them the work, but they ought to be in a very competitive position again, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
For clarity, by the way, because we get asked this, it is a strange thing about Minnesota state law is if you have a local contractor and they're $100 high on a $200,000 bid, legally you can't award them the bid. That's not a Nexus thing, that's state law. But again, what we try to do is put them in a good position. Again, assuming that that's something that the board wants us to do, we try to put it in a position where they should.
Okay.
And you'll have comments like, that, hey, these numbers are high, or you can be cheaper than that. We just did a project last week, Thursday, $22 million project, came within $300,000 of the budget. So our budgets reflect current market conditions.
And if it comes in less, great.
Right.
It's the money all goes back to you. There's no advantage. Well, except for us.
So if it were to come in under budget and option 2 didn't pass, can you, and there was excess, you could actually pursue option 2 with
Question two
excess?
type scope, that, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay, okay.
Jim,
The
you're gonna move
the
this
bond
back.
questions are worded by bond counsel, but they're generally worded to give the board latitude. that
Okay.
If you have surplus funds.
Yep.
You've got a lot of latitude with what you do with them.
Okay,
For clarity, it would all need to go for facilities things, you couldn't use them for staff.
correct.
Yes.
And it's probably not recommended to use it if in a survey they said no to something and you turned around and used that excess,
The-
probably not.
Not illegal, but it's just
It's not-
politically, you
Yep.
gotta think through that.
Thank you. How quick do these numbers, like how fast are they changing? Like,
That's a great question.
It's for us to stay with life.
Yeah, we're getting, we just did a project an hour ago in Wisconsin. So they seem to be stabilizing a little bit. And
Okay.
obviously, rose like a rocket, they're gonna fall like a feather. But basically, they're starting to stabilize.
okay,
That reminds me to point, just to remind everyone on the very bottom of page 5 of 5. For all of the totals, I do put a, like, specific question 1 grand total. Right above that, it says question 1 inflation allowance.
Yeah.
So I do, we know you're not gonna be doing this work till next year. And 5% honestly is a little light from what we've been seeing in inflation. But you see my note there, and I'd like everyone to read that.
Yeah.
Plus the interest earnings and any bond premiums. So what that means is, when you, just make a number, say it's $30 million in the bonds. You get the 30 million. You don't spend 30 million the next day. You spend that 30 million over the next 2 years.
Mhm.
So you want it in a checking account, so to speak, earning interest, just bearing account. So you get reinvestment proceeds. And what we're saying is, if you remember, I have 5% now. I used to have 8% there,
yeah,
Mhm.
right? I'm trying to get this thing below 40 million. And then I was like, well, if we can count on the 5 and the interest earnings, it kind of equates to, it'll help them fight inflation.
So does that 1.8 million, is that in? this-
Yes.
This
Yep.
is right there, okay.
So that would be, this would be any red, the red totals above plus that, yes.
okay, thank you,
Good
that
question.
helps.
I should have made that red too.
I just hypothetically, if you get to a November vote and we're already way past where we quoted it. Wait, again.
If I could, I'll maybe jump up a little bit. So number 8 and number 9, I think we already kind of had that discussion on we'll wait for warranty on the roofs and that were not included in excess of scope, and we can decide on that at a previous time. So the discussion on the pool in Olivia, those numbers, I believe, are all in this now. Is that right? The pool numbers, they're 100% of the pool repairs, are they in this scope?
Yeah, pool repairs. Yeah, so obviously you've done some repairs with the insurance. Yes, I've got the wall repair is in there.
Word offhand,
What page are you looking at?
Something we can, and I know you've done this before, but I think now that we're to this point, can we break down just the pool out of this?
Yes. All right, so let's start on page 1 of 5. This is, you can note all the pool items.
And is that considering the joint agreement with the city?
No,
this
it's
is
This
okay.
is 100% bold.
Right.
Okay.
Whatever you get out of the city is obviously good.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
You can get the back.
So
I got you. You can
we
get
get
the
you,
back.
you need it, Trace?
It's okay.
No, I do have one more here.
Oh.
Here.
Rob said they lost the feed altogether.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't, shows like it's working and I got 5 people watching.
Okay. That was a long time ago. Maybe it's when, I just seen that phone.
Was it a while
It was
ago?
a while ago.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Just kidding.
I just was seeing it. Wasn't paying attention. I think.
So on page 1, so at the very top of capital systems, go to OLMS 5.
Mhm. That's cool.
That's pool air handlers, and I got that as alt funding. I got that as using some of your LTFM dollars, not putting it on the referendum.
It's sum of 4 then too, right? Because there's pool locker rooms.
Well, the pool locker rooms, yes, yes, part of 4, yeah.
Okay.
I do have that. Oh, that was just cooling. I've got that as all funding that you can add later.
Okay,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
still,
Yep, but yes, it's in there. It's a
Okay.
good catch. That's the gym and lockers.
yep.
Russ reads through these. I don't think there's, pool boiler place at number 10.
Yeah.
I do have that in the referendum. For the efficiency. I think we're good there. Nothing electrically in the gym, or the pool, you're taking care of that right now. Go to exterior for maintenance. So we should provide. EDM 2. The fourth row down.
Which one is that?
To EDM too.
EDM 2, the fourth row down, it says pool exterior facade.
Yes, sir.
I've got that as a capital / ESSER project.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's anything down in,
Some wall finishes.
so there's a little bit of pool locker room, locker replacements, and down in the fifth from the bottom, IDM 10 there. Some pool, replacing the lockers in there.
And 6 as well, 6 and 10.
Oh, there's a little bit of finishes in there, which is, basically paint.
Yep.
Pretty small stuff, and not small stuff,
Well,
I got that in reference, because you're gonna have a paint.
Yep. Yep.
It's minutia. And that is it.
So some of those are partly school, like the gym, and then
you'd have to come up with a
We
ratio.
got that broken out, we can
Yeah.
certainly do that.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even highlight it, it's mostly gym, that one.
And I had some questions about those pool boilers, but we had talked last.
When we do the
Yeah.
walkthrough, we can, let's head down and talk.
Would it make sense to pull any of those pool expenses and get those out of the referendum? Put them into some other funds? Just to be cleaner, if we're sharing those costs with the city. No confusion with locals, the referendum does not include any pool costs. To me, I would think just pulling that out could eliminate a few questions.
I
Does that make
understand
sense?
that, but I also feel like if it's partly happening here and you can get a better deal to fix it there, can we back out the city's contribution, whatever that looks like, if we can give the total? Or can you loosen up some of the ESSER funds to put that into a referendum and you don't want to not paint because it's not in the referendum, right? I know that's
Right.
minimal,
Well, I think we
but
make sure that we have the funds available between a different fund and the city.
yeah,
So it gets done at the same time.
yeah. I'm just concerned if you pull it completely out. then all
Oh,
of a
yeah, no, I
sudden-
want to pull it out and move it to a different funding source.
Okay,
Make sure it's funded in a different source.
Well, it's
Real
the
clear.
LTFM.
Some of them were different, yeah.
LTFM.
Let me try to do that to see how what it does to the overall financials.
Because if
Let me see if
somewhere-
I can do that, make everything- I hear what you're saying, it's about making it nice
And
and.
maybe with some of our roofing money, if we're saving that,
Right, yeah.
that works, and then it's just a nice distinct line.
Absolutely.
because like the boiler is in the referendum, so
Correct.
could we push that to, I'm just gonna pretend ESSER funds and put something out of ESSER into, and then split it.
We probably have enough, let's say, in the roofing fund.
Well, that's
Do the one or two that would cover that.
very true.
Are you gonna look into those retractable and movable bleachers then?
Yeah.
See, that is-
Yeah.
And then how about on page 3 of 5 where it says relocate maintenance building for 115,000? Are we pulling that out right now?
Yep, that's what I heard, take
Take it
that,
out.
is what I heard.
Yep.
Which one?
I'm sorry, sound systems? Like both gyms? Yeah, no, I just feel like if you're gonna invest into your gyms and then you turn on your sound system and it doesn't work, that's not, that looks bad. And it's frustrating for anybody trying to use it. I don't know where they stand, I'm not sure.
I'll follow up with.
Okay.
Rhode Island for sure, if that's gonna be our.
Especially if it's theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Because it's not.
For the arts.
No. Back with the pool, what happens if we go to the city and say, well, we're ready to do $1.4 or $5 million worth of fixes to the pool, and the city says no? What happens there?
Well, I think we're setting up the financial plan that if you could shoulder it 100%, not that you want to, but as a fallback measure. Like if they say no, they're giving you nothing, I don't know.
I think
I think what you need to do is you need to give me a number that I can present them.
Yep.
And right now, we've changed it a little here and a little there. And so I haven't really given them a number because I don't feel like, first of all, I wasn't at all the meetings to ask questions and whatever. And then secondly, I don't ever feel like I have a rock solid number to present them. In addition to that, in the past, sometimes the city bore the weight of whatever improvements were made, and this is many, many years ago. And the school paid it off, kind of, as time went on. And sometimes it was the reverse, because they're not gonna have $500,000 to hand you the day that you pay it off, or, pay off the contractors. So I'm sure in the past, they've done something that's been fairly reasonable.
Okay.
And workable, but we would have to talk that through.
And
Fair enough.
if we, and it doesn't always be like one fell swoop, meaning, you can do a short-term borrowing, spread it over five years or something.
And that's what they've done in the past.
And that's where if you do some ESSER funds or something that's not a referendum, it makes it easier for them to say, okay, we'll budget $100,000 a year for the next 4 years.
Exactly.
And if we have to, we do it little by little.
And-
then.
Is it okay if I
Tracy's-
break up, so I kind of got the pool and Ben throughout here. Is it okay if I suck all those lineups out and make
It'd be a great
Yeah.
idea.
And
That would be
Tracy's
awesome.
spot on because it's fluctuated so much through this whole process. So I know Jim and I have even had a few
Yeah.
conversations with the committee, and it's very hard to say, oh, we're gonna need this amount. I will say that they're very well aware that the school is looking at it and that they want to see the pool continue here. I can't say to how much, but they're supportive. They're
Or the pool
So-
becomes a wrestling room. One of the two.
yeah, I would say that
It's true.
they're supportive.
I don't see the city supporting a wrestling room, but.
Well, they don't, them say don't have to then.
Mhm.
But they gotta stand behind it.
You do realize this is the only indoor water in our entire county.
Well, I understand that.
Mhm.
And right now it's one of 3 pools.
No, I understand all of that. Yeah.
And I get and maybe it's time to revisit the whole,
Joint
how
powers.
It's,
yeah.
it's an agreement that's been in place for over 70 years, so.
Will it be metered now separately? Or no?
I think it needs to get to that point.
To help
Are
with-
you talking
Yeah.
about water, electricity? or
Everything,
what?
All
so
of
you
it.
can help monitor exact costs. I mean, I get everything's not gonna come down to the actual, but if that's a better way to control, and maybe that doesn't
Yeah,
work.
there's a way to some meter, yeah.
I mean, because you still have staffing, which is
It
just an
wouldn't be a
estimate, I
separate
get
utility-
that.
It wouldn't be a separate utility meter, it's still gonna be fed off the same system, but we could sub-meter it within the building.
Should be nice. It's just nice to know.
No,
It takes all the
I
questions out. We know exactly what
No,
it is.
I get that, and, when visiting teams use the locker rooms and that type of thing, I mean, it's not an exact science, even if it was
No.
separately metered. But the pool itself could be separately metered, and that would be
Close enough.
close enough.
At least it gives you a better idea.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Something else that we may want to look at, because we want to have new ideas now, is the drop off for early childhood is terrible. And I haven't thought about it since last winter, but you'll see parents with 2 kids walking, carrying a 3rd kid that are parking on the other street because there's no parking. And they're carrying this kid all the way into the early childhood rooms. And it doesn't look fun to me. It'd be nice if they had a dedicated, kind of where that playground equipment there is,
Could you ever have, we pull straight in or angled parking coming off that street?
or maybe something like
Sign,
that.
I don't know, we still need 8,000, just sign for early childhood drop off only, coming right off that street.
they
Maybe.
used to have a handicapped, and because when I was dropping off Keely, that was one of my concerns. And they used to have it wasn't official, I think it was just painted and people were observing it. I think now the Heartland bus kind of parks there.
Oh,
But I asked for that because I was doing that, holding onto one kid and holding onto another, and one kid was an eloper, so.
Will this parking back here not be used as a playground anymore? if the playground gets fixed?
It would certainly be used differently, yeah.
Because could that, I mean, I know it's not as close as that, but would it make more sense to come back here?
I mean, you have to say
I have a thought, I mean, a concern. You put a parking lot right by the playground and kids are running around and somebody backs up quick and
Would be inside the fence then.
Yeah.
We could fence it.
We'd have, I keep the fence, I'd pull the fence and keep it separate from the playground.
Snow removal would be tough.
Are you looking at just doing this playground or both playgrounds?
well,
No, I'm
I
sorry,
was
I'm
just
like
talking
staring
about
at
this.
Amy. Like when we were talking playgrounds, is it mostly this one or is it the early childhood too? Okay,
Yeah, just this year.
okay.
I'm not sure who owns the equipment out there, but that was purchased by Head Start.
Oh,
When they moved from the R1 to here, they got some grant money and some other monies. And
Okay.
put in that little,
So at some point, I know I'm not ready yet, but at some point, obviously, we need to make a recommendation to the board on this big project. What are people's thoughts there? I mean, are we a couple weeks away? Are we, how far away are we?
I think we need to talk about it, that brush fire survey and seeing, I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like. Maybe we could hear a little bit about that. But it seems to me that that's gonna give us a lot more.
Mhm.
But don't we have to have a final, kind of what we're gonna recommend first before that survey?
That's the idea is you would be testing a specific plan and then attributes of that plan, but you're looking to test that specific plan and is there support for that, for that plan? And are there things within that plan that give it buoyancy, that would give it more support, or that more importantly, are there things that maybe are pulling it down a little bit, or costing a few points? But you really gotta kind of coalesce on if there's support, this is what we want to go forward with, and then we'll test. And again, we'll have a lot of data about the plan, but we need a plan to focus on. So if that makes sense.
And it might come back unsupported, we want to go back to the drawing board, it may come back, we like the plan, but it's too much, we might cut a little bit, so that's what the survey's for.
Does the survey include pictures, drawings, just a phone question again?
We would suggest doing the same type of survey that we did, that Morse Leatherman did. So it would be a phone survey again, but because it's going to be focused, they can spend a little more time describing the actual plan instead of talking about all different attributes. Now they're talking about a plan and the attributes within that plan. If that makes sense.
Remember all the questions were like age, or what's your thoughts of the school board, or, where do you live, all that stuff, you don't have all those questions, so you can. And the thing between now and the brush fire, it'd be nice to, once you're comfortable with like a configuration, and put a big thing there, potential configuration, get that on a newsletter and stuff too, you could start educating people on what you're looking at.
But I think ideally we want to be doing that in June if possible, right?
You need to, if you think about it, because it's focused, the brush fire survey, the name is kind of informal, it's meant to be focused so it's quicker. But we should have 6 weeks, you could probably do it in 4, again, you're dealing with, you get like June 9th, 4th of July, you get those just summer challenges we have in Minnesota. But if you think in 4 weeks, the board, the drop dead date, if you will, for the board to make a decision for November referendum, I believe is August 13th. So backing up from there, you want to give the board some time to from this committee and talk about maybe factor in the brush fire results. Ideally, they make a decision by, or they're handed that project no later than July 15th. So if you said 4 weeks or 6 weeks back from there, June 1st, which crazy enough is in what, 2 weeks?
So so I think what you're getting at is, like, the next time you use this group convenes, I would focus on, are we ready to at least go to a brush fire? And then get that to the board for board approval, and then go out and do it, so we can do it, as Jim said, let's do a brush fire in June.
And if you're not ready, you're not ready, okay? And we could try to compress timelines, but just do know that, well, it's only May, November, seems like it's a long ways away, I just laid out the timeline for you. We're trying to have you not be rushed 60 days from now. But
And I don't want to rush anything, but if we don't do it in November, then the next possible voting date is February.
yes.
As a special
And-
election.
And I think that delays the project by a full year then, doesn't
You're
it?
basically, you're gonna incur, all the numbers will go up by probably another 5% or more, inflation wise, because the design and bidding process is 6 months after post-election at least, so.
So you lose the summer of 24.
Yeah.
So you start talking, 5% of 40 is $2 million.
5 to 8%, yeah, so. If at all possible, yes, it definitely benefits the taxpayers to hit this one.
Does the board think within 2 weeks we'd be able to, I mean, again, we're making a recommendation, we're not signing on the line. Does the board think for 2 weeks you'd be ready to make a recommendation to the school board on the way we think they should proceed?
I think we could. I can just
I
make
think
that
so
a
too.
goal.
I think we've talked a lot about the same plan and we all have somewhat similar, just the little adjustments here and there. So.
We're gonna do a
feel-
little tour here, maybe after that, we can put a meeting together, maybe for next Monday before the board meeting.
Yeah, that would be,
Next,
Monday, the 22nd,
when's your board meeting in May?
Monday, the 22nd.
the 22nd.
I was like,
So otherwise, then it's the end of June.
but you can
So-
call us, not
We
that-
could have a special board meeting. It's just, that's extra money too.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
I think we're okay with that meeting, but if we have too many questions yet at that meeting, we should be pretty close, hopefully by then at least. I mean, maybe we can all make a recommendation at that time.
But then we can extend it at that time.
Right, if we need to extend it then, if we have a few last questions before we make that, that gives us another week to say, come back, you'd have to have a special meeting.
We can do that.
But if we're using like the email option, and we're getting the questions answered, we can kind of go into the 22nd going, yeah, I feel comfortable having the meeting to make the decision, or if we're all over the board, it doesn't pay to.
Okay. So what day does that work now? These are pretty important ones, obviously, that we all get to, so to make sure the time works.
Yeah, can we do, Amy, am I good at 4:00 on Monday?
I'm gonna put it on your calendar at 3:30, but otherwise, you're open.
There's a baseball game if anyone wants to know that.
Baseball game?
In Rhode Island at 5.
Well, the school board meeting is at 6, so we could.
Because
do
we
it.
School board
really,
meeting's at 6?
Is it-
we're gonna need to
or
make it a
7?
fairly quick
7.
meeting anyways, because you don't want to go right up until the school board meeting. Like if we can't be ready.
What's that?
I think,
People think that's too early, or you think that's okay to come?
We can shoot for it.
At least we meet, if we don't get it, we don't get it, but at least we try at that point.
Well, it shows like the board that due diligence, that everybody's putting in time to, make something work, to present it to them and be responsible for our commitments of time frame.
Just thinking about the interest potential that could cost us.
So the idea would be, in theory, we recommend to the board that night,
That'd be the best
Supporting-
possible scenario.
yeah, and that we recommend doing a brush fire survey. So
Right.
basically they're supporting the survey, not necessarily 100%
Correct.
what we're doing.
But we'd have a main scope of the plan.
Yeah,
Right, but for clarity, the board would, we call it, receive that plan and would agree to do the survey. The board isn't taking action, there's no decisions, if you will, in terms of actual district standpoint, there's no decisions being made.
right. They're
Just
just
for clarity.
accepting this concept.
They're accepting your recommendation, now it's in their hands to say, do we take it to referendum, do we tweak it? Again, they're gonna get more input on that. But that would give them, call it, from May 22nd, technically to August 13th to make
Okay.
that decision. But there's a lot of, the survey, everything else has to happen.
But the only thing we really need to decide on is get the survey out.
Yeah,
That's the only decision to do it.
yeah, which is.
I just want to make sure we understand like what we need to make sure they're taking
So our
action on.
recommendation, if we're all, if we can agree that night, or whether we agree or not agree, we'll make our recommendations. The goal would be that we feel we're close enough for them to proceed with the brush fire survey. That's a pretty vague recommendation.
Somewhat vague.
Yeah, I'm just throwing this out there, just so you guys can, there's no way you have to do this, but just if you think from a process standpoint, you as a committee would be saying, this is our recommendation. If, we recommend you do a survey, if the survey supports it, then we, most committees like this, other districts would say, then we ask you to take that to referendum. I mean, that's why we did all this work, right? If it comes back and says there needs to be some significant modifications, the board might, if you want to talk strict process, might kick it back to the committee and say, we need to take 20% out of it, figure out how to do that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you guys paid for part of the other survey, or would you consider paying for part of this survey?
Good question.
That's 'cause
You told me at one time if that's what it takes.
Oh.
That's what it takes to keep us moving forward. No, we have, hopefully we've demonstrated to you that we work in a spirit of partnership. That's partnership deals with shared risk. So that's what that, yes, we do that. The cost, by the way, for simplicity purposes, assume it would be the same as it was last time. It would probably be a little less expensive, but it was. And I think that was around 20 grand.
Okay, so we'll be looking at Monday, May 22nd at what time?
4:00, right?
4 o'clock?
So can you guys, will you guys give us an updated?
Yep.
Then,
I'll have new drawings,
different,
I'll have different drawings, and I'll have,
I like to see drawings.
yeah,
I like to.
I know.
And answer questions.
Yeah, everything, we got answers on that, and I'll break down the pool stuff broke out, I'll have different options for the fitness center location, I'll have numbers.
And just to make sure, because there's a lot of things were happening pretty quick there, and Russ and I were scratching notes down. The sound system.
Gym sound, they want us to look at gym sound systems for both, right?
All right, so
Especially.
you're clear. on it.
For sure on Bird Island.
Okay. Yeah, we
For
were
sure Bird
scratching.
Island,
Bird Island.
because of the play.
I know the specialists we brought in, I know they looked at the sound system, so it shouldn't be that hard.
Okay, yeah, that was the only one that I wasn't quite sure. Got it. Okay.
And then just one other question I didn't put on the agenda was the question on shared facility with the Bird Island Hub, how that works for insurance and those purposes. If there's any issues there, if there's anything else that needs to be in the construction, do you need to have a firewall, some sort of break in that? So we don't do something with the intent and find out, boy, we've missed something major here.
Do we have to have separate meters too for them and the school?
I'm sure think so.
Yeah.
Breaks in that. I know we talked about separate furnaces, HVAC,
Yeah.
which is great. That would be easy to do, but right, electrical service and
Plumbing,
fire
everything.
service and all that good stuff. to Make sure there's
Yeah,
a
because
division there.
separate. Yeah.
Whose wheelhouse does that fall into? I'm looking at you guys.
He's writing it down.
All right.
Go Russ.
You think you have something to do?
If I need agenda stuff by Friday morning, to post it in the email.
Agenda by
Friday morning.
I know,
We can always amend an agenda.
along the lines of how do you co-occupy a site with another entity is, we're not lawyers, I would encourage you to reach out to, I think Kevin Rupp is your lawyer?
Yeah, well, yeah, it used to be, yeah. They've changed their name.
Right.
Squares and somebody.
But this is probably the point where you start discussing this with district.
Because ultimately,
Yeah.
they would own that facility, which technically then they own that land. And then,
Maybe.
yeah,
We'll
or you,
talk to them.
or you lease.
You do a land lease of the.
We talk a lot, so.
And I think these arrangements are great. I mean, we're at the hub, the pool thing with Olivia, fabulous. Just gotta make sure that there's no questions. It's just so easy that it's all black and white, so.
I think it opens up for the future for conversation or like just communication. So when all of us aren't sitting at the table, there's easy ways to figure out who's doing what and how it works. So it can
Okay.
be documented.
All right, nobody has anything else, then I know, at least I want to see what we're anticipating down here, so.
Want to adjourn the meeting?
I'll informally adjourn the meeting.
All right. Use the gavel.
Do it.
Formal but not formal.